don't see the, oh, there we go. All right. Well, once again, thank you, Jesse and Joshua, for all the hard work you guys do. Know that when you're doing this for Sovereign Grace Baptist Church, that you're doing it not only for us, but you're doing it for the Lord. And we appreciate it. All right? So, today we got 2 more lessons. Guidelines for evangelizing in the workplace. That's lesson 7. Lesson 8 is guidelines for discipleship. And we should be able to finish both of these here tonight, Lord's will. So, we're going to talk about the biblical perspective of work. We know that work is a creation ordinance. What do we mean by creation ordinance? Right? So it's something that God gave to man to do, which make work good. Work is a part of God's design for mankind. Work was given to man before man fell in sin. It was given before the curse had come about. So work is not the result of the fall. The fall made work difficult. Work is, it can be fulfilling, it can be satisfying, but it also can be frustrating. And that is all because of what happened in the garden. And so work is not a result of the fall, but work is impacted by the fall. And when God cursed man, he cursed his primary responsibility, which was that he would experience toil in his work. He would experience hardship in his work. And so work is satisfying, but yet work is hard. The goal of work is to honor God. It is work we should desire to honor God because God is our model for work. God worked before man was created, in a sense. God's work was the reason why man was created. And all that God created, when God was at work in creation, what did he call it? It was good. So once again, work is good, not only because work was ordained by God, but God himself works. God is the model for all human work. We are image bearers of God. And since we are image bearers of God, we should strive to, in our work, to imitate God and his work. And work is a part of life because God ordained it. And since God has ordained work, that means that every day you work. It doesn't matter what your work is. Everybody does some kind of work. And whatever that, whether you are in school, whether you have your own business, whatever that work, whether you're in the home, whether you, Miss Jan, I appreciate you watering the church and taking care of the flowers out there. They look beautiful. All of that work is significant because God has ordained it, in a sense. He has ordained, the work that we do. that we all do. And because God has ordained it, he has sovereignly brought it about, it has meaning. There is nothing that we do that is insignificant before God. Everything that we do has meaning because God has appointed it for us to do. And God receives glory when we're diligent in it, when we're not lazy. God gets glory from the work that we do. So work is creation ordinance from God. Work is a gift from God. Everything that we have is a gift from God. Food, oxygen, even work. We may say, how can this difficult effort and constant struggle be a gift from God? The answer is simple. Work is God's means of providing many of the necessities of life. In addition, it is the platform for evangelism and ministry, as well as a vehicle for supporting our families and the church. The work is a part of God's common grace. So work is a gift from God. Work is also a ministry, and the workplace is a mission field. And so with this, if this is true, work is a ministry and the workplace is a mission field, that means that there's a spiritual and eternal significance to the work that we do. It doesn't matter how menial it may be, there is a spiritual and eternal significance to it, particularly if we're working with someone else. Just as a kind of an example, this is not a spiritual example, but I remember, and we would go out to California and to the National Training Center. Our whole battalion would go out to the National Training Center, and at the National Training Center out in California, there's barracks that are there. That everybody that goes out to train stay in these barracks, and so we would go out to California, the whole unit. We would move into these barracks, unpack everything, and one of the things that we would do once our training was complete, the goal of our unit was to leave that area better than we found it. Right? We went there and we would, when we left there, we were mopping, cleaning, picking up cigarette butts, making sure trash was, when we left there, we wanted to make sure that our footprint, when people came in after us, they would know that the unit that was there before them took great care, and to take care of what was just what we did while we were there. And I think even in the workplace, we should have that same perspective, in that as we go and whatever the work that we do, since it is in a sense spiritual. It's spiritual because we are in Christ. It is spiritual because God is sovereign. And if those things are if we are work with an awareness of that, then we should work with a sense of not perfection, but a sense of doing our best at whatever it is, no matter how small of a task it may be. We should strive to do our best in it, because we are a disciple of Jesus Christ, and God, the God of heaven, is our Father, who gives us everything that we need spiritually in order to glorify Him. So believers in the workplace have a sovereign, chosen mission field, and their co-workers We need to see our jobs as God's sovereign appointment for us to love our neighbors by proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. You do a good job, oftentimes it'll give you an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. But even in that, working and seeing work as a mission field, it is tough. What are one of the things that make work tough? What makes it tough to see what you do among other people as a work of God? What makes that reality tough? Dealing with other people, right? And why would it be hard to deal with other people? They're fallen, they're sinners, right? So here it is. We see this point that work is a ministry, and the workplace is a mission field, but majority of everyone that goes into an actual workplace, even selling hot dogs, you're going to be among fallen people, right? And not only are the people fallen, you are impacted by sin, right? So work is kind of it's kind of a weird thing, and I'm saying this because of the boys and any kids that may be watching. There's a sense where you can just go to work and be like, wow, man, I love what I do. But then say it out the other side of your mouth, man, I hate this job, right? Because of the frustration of working with other people and having to deal with our own sin. And yet there is a way that we can enjoy it. And the way to do it is to see it overall, whatever frustration that we come across, see it as a ministry, and see it as a mission field. What happens when you see your work as a ministry? And that's just for everybody at work. Have you ever thought about your work as a ministry? How does that impact the way you work? Mm. Does that, it change the way you think, change the way you see other people? How about, as far as your creative? I know you're the boss man out there where you work at, and how about creativity, right? Say for instance, you got a task that is coming down, and you got other people that are involved in the task. This is your task. This is something that you're supposed to do. How does seeing work as a ministry, does it impact the way that you deal with daily tasks?
Well, you're certainly going to be diligent, and you're going to work hard, knowing that you're working under the Lord, not unto men.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to give an honest day's work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just going to be, I think overall you should be more diligent, more professional, better at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, we were talking a while ago, years ago I had this young airman working for me
Mm-hmm.
who was an outspoken Christian.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my worst airmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point where I felt like telling him, dude, you need to tone it down about your faith in Christ, because he was such a rotten fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And a Christian should not just be that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That runs counter to what God has called us to do.
Yeah. Yeah. How about in the home, ladies? How does seeing, because that's a work, right? I mean, even washing dishes is a work. Taking out the garbage at home is a work. Just particularly for the ladies, any Uh, anything you'd like to share as far as from a, in the home perspective on seeing what you do in the home as a ministry?
I see it for myself as serving my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the work isn't fun,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
you look past that. You're
Mm-hmm.
serving somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly you're doing it before God too, so you want to have the right attitude. You want to have the right mindset about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not complain too much.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that there's a sanctifying benefit of doing that kind of work where it challenges you as an individual? Particularly in the home, it is harder, and I would say that's a lot harder because a lot of times you're serving someone that that you're gonna lay down next to when you go to bed, when you go to sleep. You may have had an argument or something like that, right? Or some kind of disagreement, but the work does it stop? Does the
Sometimes it's kind of slack. You still got to feed people.
yeah? But the work continues, right? And
It never
that.
stops. That's the thing about working at home.
Mm-hmm.
You're never done,
Mm-hmm.
and it never stops.
Mm-hmm.
And you get up, and there it all is again.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really walk away from it. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're called to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is my assignment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it helps to see it as a ministry, right? To see it as serving the Lord, and then in a
Granted, I'm not thinking that every minute.
yeah,
But you should.
yeah,
But you should. But yeah, there's those times when you have to do something you don't want to do. You're tired.
yeah,
Not that this applies in our family. You may not be, commended for doing it,
yeah,
but you do it.
yeah.
It's the right thing to do.
And that is the reality of work. That makes it challenging because as you labor and you're sweating and you're giving your all, and a lot of times, like I used to say with working with kids at school age, you don't get you don't really get a reward in a sense. Like, hey, you did a good job. You go and you labor, and but what at the end of the day, when you lay your head down and you think about, what it was that you were able to do and how the Lord, in His grace, give you grace to do it, and then how the Lord, in His mercy, also, gave you grace to do the work as well. So. It is. It's one of the things. It's one of the challenges. It is tough, as you battle it, because you're personally involved in it. You're personally doing it, and you're personally dealing with the difficulties of the work, and that makes it a lot harder. I remember at school age, going in and having to do something I didn't want to do. Which I told y'all about this, working in the game room. I was against it. I'm in the gym with the whistle, I made to make the kids run and all that good stuff. And they're like, hey, you need to go to the game room. I was totally against it. I'm like, it's outside of my comfort zone. It ain't me. I'm, come up with a curriculum for the gym. Yes. Come up with a curriculum for the game room. There is no examples of how to do this. And it's not me. And I grumble and complain for a little bit, tell you the truth. And then one day I just say, you know what? God is sovereign. He put me here. There's a reason. I cannot get out of it. I go and I was like, I don't want to do this. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Job, that you feel that way. This is what you're going to have to do. And I was like, and you can say, ask Nora. I just come home, just like Tasmanian devil. But then I say, you know what, Lord, this is, I don't want to do this, but because this is what you have ordained for me to do, I'm going to do it. and I'm going to do it with all my heart. And it's amazing how, as I began to take little steps and say, you know what, Lord, I will obey. The Lord, in His grace, would give me, the wisdom and the ability, to all of a sudden I was having ideas for the game room, and I, started, and it was because my perspective changed. I was like, well, Lord, you want me back there, and the parents, they're going to see me back there, and so I go and do what you want me to do, because I love you, and I love Christ, and I want to represent Christ. And all of a sudden, my perspective changed, and that which I didn't want to do became the day room, or not day room, but the game room became the best room in the center because of a change of perspective of me, that I'm serving the Lord. Lord, I don't know how to do this, and all of a sudden I'm going on the internet, going on Pinterest, finding all kind of things. And it was because my perspective changed, that it wasn't about me. I didn't want to do it. I had to go look beyond myself and see that there was a work that God had called me to do, and other people benefited from it. Other people were blessed because of it. And so, seeing work as a ministry, seeing as, Lord, this is okay. This is what you want me to do. You're gonna have to give me the grace to do it, and He does it. I mean, it's amazing. I had no idea which way to go. God, you're going to have to help me. And, God gave me the wisdom to be, I should say, He gave me the wisdom to know from the Word of God to be diligent. And that's what I did, was, okay, be diligent. I need to go talk to somebody. I need to go look at this classroom. I need to go look at this. So work is a ministry, and the workplace is a mission field. Because then that became an opportunity for me to share with other people that would come back, and they were like, how did, Mr. Joe, what's going on? How did you, I thought you didn't want to do it. That's a conversation starter right there. You want to know why? You want to know how? I didn't want to do it. But this is what God is able to do. God enabled me to do this, and then that can start a conversation about the gospel. But the reality, what I'm trying to say is that there is a reality where it's going to be frustrating. To say that work is a ministry doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. And so, ma'am.
I just wanted to say one thing. When you first asked the question, from a woman's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
how does, I can't even remember specifically what your question was in,
Mm-hmm.
So many words.
Uh-huh.
But when I related to myself,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm working at someone's house with their kids, and right now I'm working just at home,
Mm-hmm.
or even with Hayden.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it definitely comes down to attitude, and my own personal attitude, and that core belief that the Lord placed me in this place,
Mm-hmm.
in this job, or with this family, or with Hayden and being homeschooled.
Yeah.
And to me, I see, I remember there was like a good year where I was totally burnt out on working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when this is easily, I don't know, 8 years ago, say.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 3 girls that I had were still, the youngest was still at home, the middle one was just going into kindergarten or pre-K, and Shaylee was in lower elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like burnt out. And I remember I was talking to Grace, and it might be longer than that, but and I said, how about working, for this family and blah, blah. And obviously she didn't. They talked or whatever. And so I was like dreading it. And I would tell Paul, I don't like this. But now, it was like whether it was that summer break or whatever. And now I look back on these last few years, especially with my own grandchildren, I see it in a whole different perspective. Because my perspective of what I'm doing for the Lord in obedience or trusting that He has me in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
it gives me a whole different perspective of I want to show them,
Yeah.
Hayden in particular,
Yeah.
and the three girls that I watch. This is why I can do this.
Yeah.
I'll be saying they'll be complaining about something, and I'll
Yeah.
say, oh, I hate to do this too, but that's what I'm called to do, and this
Yeah.
is why. And so it's always that thinking in the back of their mind. How do you do that? And like the two, in fact, I should have asked for prayer for them. Jaylee and Kelsey are at church camp this week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the first year that they're going to be in the same group. One is going to be 10, and the other one's going to be 12.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the first year that they're going to go like the same week and be in the same group of kids and everything. And Shaylee, the other one, is like, I can't believe I have to go. She is like, I don't know what, and Kelsey is this like little sensitive little flower.
Yeah.
So I told her before they left, I said, I'm going to pray for you when you're gone.
Yeah.
And I told Jaylee, I said, I want you to promise me that you're going to remember that your sister will always be with you.
Yeah.
Family is the most important.
Yeah.
So she texted me back later and said, I promise, but I'm not going to forget that the church with you.
Well, that's a good example of how you had an opportunity to turn what you were doing into a ministry. You offered prayer,
Right.
and it's an important thing. Like, say, for instance, work where you're working with other people. There have been numerous times where unbelievers came to me and asked, can you pray for me? I was like, well, we need to talk about the gospel, but they because of the way I worked, and the way I conducted myself, it was like, well, something that I don't know, and I want to come and talk to you about it, or I want you to pray for me in regards to this. And so you can't do that if you don't have the right perspective, if you don't fight for the right perspective. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make here, is that we maintain the right perspective, and it's amazing how you may not see the fruit of it, or God may, in His mercy, choose to grant you an opportunity to have somebody come to you, and they may not come to Christ, but they may come to you and say, you know what, can you pray for me? And you just plug in there the gospel while you're praying for them. But that comes through a change of perspective about the work that you do. See it as a ministry, because oftentimes, as you said, Christians are some of the worst workers. They can be some of the ones that that everybody pay attention to and see. They're looking closely. You go and you're supposed to be doing a task and you're complaining. They're going to watch you closer than they watch anybody else. They kind of expect, man, this joker over here, he drinks and he go, we know that he ain't going to do a good job. This joker right here is supposed to be doing the right thing. And they're going to be watching closely. And so, the Lord put you there to shine as a light, whatever the task is, so that that you using as an opportunity, whether to pray for somebody, whether to somebody come and say, I don't know why I'm going through what I'm going through. Well, it's probably because let me tell you, you want to know my opinion? That's what yeah. Man, you sinning. I mean, you cheating on your spouse or something like that. You can't be doing that kind of stuff. And those kind of doors open in the workplace when you work hard. When you work hard, when they see that you are a person of your word, that you do what you're supposed to do, Lord can use that to open the door to give you an opportunity to share either the gospel or to plant a seed or to water a seed or something like that. And I think that's the most important thing is to get beyond ourselves, to see that there's a greater significance in what we do. So.
And one other thing about work, wherever you are, it's a means of sanctification too.
Mm-hmm.
Because irritations come up and
Mm-hmm.
situations, ethical situations come up, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's a means to sanctification.
It is, and oftentimes I know in at the workplace, you're gonna oftentimes there are jokers that totally are on the opposite end of the spectrum. That you know what I'm saying, and you gotta go in and like, oh gosh, here this joker come again, and that's sanctification. I've worked with lesbians. I've worked with what you call dudes, look dressed like I should just say sinners that were totally on the opposite end of the spectrum we're around sinners, but these were like sinners. And and having to go to work and to to know that God says you're to be holy, for He is holy. That you're to be a light, be the light of Christ in the workplace, and it takes God's grace. It takes you to learn how to deny self and depend upon the grace of God that comes to us through His Word. It takes work, but God does it, and yes, sanctification. Yes, we are pruned in work. So we are at the end. I didn't get through the lesson like I wanted to, but hey, this is Wednesday night. We can I kind of like Wednesday nights. It's kind of a it's little it's intimate. We kind of can talk back and forth, and I appreciate everyone that shared here this afternoon. Any questions? And now we'll go ahead and close out. Father, we are reminded here this afternoon of the significance of work, no matter what kind of work it is, whether we're taking the trash out, and whether we're washing dishes, whether we're cooking in the kitchen, whether we're teaching, whether we're working daily with rubbing elbows with those who are not saved. Father, whatever the work is that you have purposed us to do, there is significance in it. Whether one is watching or whether others aren't watching, it is significant because in that work you are working in our hearts. You said in Philippians that you are the one who is at work in us to will and to do your purpose. With this of working in a fallen world, Father, even in our lives, you are bringing about your purpose, which is Christ-likeness, and we're truly grateful for that. And so that gives us a sense of hope as we go and we do even the menial things, the things that like I said, when no one is looking, the things that we do, and it seems as if they do not matter, your watching eye is there, and that means that it does matter to you. And we're just thankful for it, even in those moments, that your grace is with us, that it is sufficient for us. And Father, as even those who are here and perhaps those who are watching at work, actually, working jobs where they are working with sinners, Father, help them to understand that is the perfect place for them to be, because that's what you have ordained. And help them to come to realization that it's a ministry, it's an opportunity, it's a mission field to not only to live for you, but an opportunity to sow seeds of your word and sow seeds of the gospel in the lives of the people that are around. Father, may we never waste any part of our lives on ourselves. May we see it as a work for you in everything that we do for the sake of Christ. It's in his name I pray. Amen.